Who benefits from productivity? Some of these slides you guys may have seen before, but we're going to recap them real quick. Our customers. Customers want a great experience with their contractor, which means beating our schedule goals. Again, happy customers, loyal customers. They'll tell other customers about their experiences and their satisfaction with Western, and there'll be great project references for moving forward. Western is a company. You know, employees are an investment for Western. What does everyone want from their investments? Of course, a return. So the more productive that the employees are, the more return Western gets, which makes everybody happy. It also allows Western to become more competitive and more profitable. And becoming more profitable and competitive helps keep everyone working. The workforce itself, why is it important to Western's workforce? Being a productive employee provides more opportunities for both the branch and opportunities for work with other Western branches. Being a productive employee also increases opportunities for promotions, raises, and other incentives. These incentives and rewards are important to promote as we move forward with our initiative to become more productive in our business. So when you start talking to your crew about production, how it's important to them, these are the things that you want to talk to them about. You want to let them know that there's opportunities for advancement within Western. You want to let them know that there's opportunities at other branches for guys who are high production employees. These are all things that will help. A lot of the branches you probably already talked about, incentives for your guys, rewarding your guys for doing a good job and for exceeding production numbers. So all these things are things you want to reinforce with those guys as you move forward. Brief history on the productivity initiative and the focus. About 5 years ago, Western had a competition for field employees. They called it the Caulk-Off. They were trying to figure out who the best was in the company and what the potential was for what we could actually do. And in doing that, they found out that there was a lot of gaps in production across the board. So we surveyed all the branches and decided to look at where they were bidding their work at and the production numbers they were using. And these numbers for the exact same project, the exact same work, everything being exactly the same, we had branches up here who were bidding at 350 lineal feet per day, and we had branches down here that were bidding 150 lineal feet. So we were trying to figure out a way to bring those numbers closer together from the bottom up, and so that's kind of where the productivity initiative started. One of the other things that came into play is when we started looking at just the caulk work in general. We bid $90 million worth of caulk work that we didn't secure, or we weren't awarded that work. So we basically left $90 million worth of work out on the table, and probably a large majority of that is because we weren't productive enough. The pilot program goal. We developed an initiative to increase caulking productivity company-wide, resulting in higher closure rates, higher job profits, and increased market share. We started with caulking because we did identify that we had a lot of opportunities out there, and we wanted to develop something that we could carry over into other services we provide as well, such as deck coating, concrete repair, masonry, things like that. So the pilot program is designed that we can take the exact same program, overlay it on a different service, and just continue the training and the same initiative in different areas. So we looked at the pilot program and wanted to figure out where we get the biggest bang for the buck. Talking to some of the regional managers, we decided to start the pilot program in Austin, Texas on a project called Intel. The reason we picked this again was because there's a lot of caulking opportunities in the Austin area, and productivity-wise, the San Antonio-Austin branch, they weren't actually on the bottom of the productivity scale. but they were somewhere toward the middle. But they knew that they were losing a lot of jobs due to productivity, so we wanted to increase their numbers. So a little bit about Intel. It was a $360,000 project bid at 32% JP. When the job started, before we did the training, they were achieving production in some areas, but not overall. They had several new employees, green hat employees, who have never caulked before. So this, of course, was hurting their productivity numbers. They also had a new foreman who was a green hat and had a younger guy who hadn't had a lot of experience. So what we did is, to start the program, we went in and set these goals here. And we set the goals at increasing the productivity by 25%. And so we went in, did the training, and increased that productivity by the 25% we were looking for. The next phase is we wanted to start bidding with these new productivity numbers. So once we achieved that production and we showed we could do it day in and day out, and that these numbers were achievable, we talked with the region manager, branch managers, and we started bidding at those rates. So by doing that, we wanted to increase our closure rates on the jobs that we're bidding. And then the next step would to continue to be more efficient at that work, and then right back where we started again, continuing the training and setting new goals. So the training started with setting goals. We let the team know why and convey the benefits and importance of the continued training. Some of the things that we noticed right off the bat, their startup. At the beginning of each day, we picked up 5%, just for the simple fact that the startup at the beginning of the day, we made that more productive. The guys were coming in, they were having their daily huddle, and then they had a job trailer there, and a couple guys would go in and start getting all their tools and materials out for the day. Well, that left other guys standing, waiting to get in the job trailer. And so it was about a 45-minute startup time with 6 people. And what we did is we talked to the foreman and said, hey, what we'd like to do is try this out. Let's bring someone in a half an hour early. Let's have them load the stages. Let's have them do everything but get these guys' tools together and see if that doesn't help on the job startup. So they had a guy come in a half an hour early. He loaded up the stages, and then had the daily huddle. 15 minutes later, the guys are on the building working after they got their tools, opposed to 45 minutes later where they initially started. So just by making the guys more aware of what we want to do, being a little more organized, and spending this half an hour labor over here versus 3 hours worth of labor to get the job started, we're already increasing the production. Swing stage organization, job site setup. Again, this was something that we looked at. They added some backer rod holders on the back of the stage to get the backer rod out of the way, make it easier to work with. Added some trays and whatnot to hold the tools, different things. So just being more organized helped. Then the right tools for the job. A lot of you guys have probably started using the battery operated caulk guns. They're not new to Western. They're becoming more and more popular all the time. So having the right tools. A lot of these guys are old school. They did not want to change from their manual gun. They didn't think they could do any better with their manual gun. They had all these reasons not to try a battery operated caulk gun. The battery operated caulk gun on this particular job picked up 15% by itself in increased production. So this is basically the training tree. Like we talked about earlier, we want to be able to do this with concrete repairs, deck coatings, but this is kind of where we started. This was kind of our idea getting started. So we have our resources down here, which is guys who have been labeled as high achievers, high productivity guys in other branches. And we turned them into our trainer and told them actually what our goals were, what we wanted to achieve, how we wanted to look at the big picture, not just caulking or not just this. We want to look at the projects as a whole. And so we trained the foreman. We trained employee 1, 2, and 3. So basically we spent all this time with these guys, and after we spent a couple weeks with those guys, We came back and did it one more time. Made sure these guys were doing everything the way that we talked about before. Make sure that they were being organized, being sure that they were putting out quality work. And then to carry it on, we want to be sure that this number one employee trains a couple more employees. And basically the reason we want to do this is to be sure that all of our employees are competent in this work. They can all achieve the productivity. If not, you've got a high productivity guy here who's getting the 350 a day. Then you got the other guy over here who's getting the 150 a day. Well, so your average productivity is right there in the middle. So it's bringing down your higher performers. So anyway, this is the model that we use to start the training. So talk a little bit about where we're at currently and the results of the pilot program. Within 2 weeks of starting the program, the crew was achieving the budgeted production rates on all tasks. And not only were they achieving them, they were beating those, and we had an overall increase of 25%. And a couple slides earlier, that was our goal, was to increase that productivity by 25%. By working with the new foreman, they become more organized and had an increased focus on daily production. So that foreman was asking all the right questions. What'd you do today? Okay, well, you were supposed to get 200 feet. What went wrong? Is it something we already addressed and fixed? Is it something we're going to deal with tomorrow? What do we got to do to get those? What do we got to do to get that production? So he's asking all the right questions, being sure that his men are focused on production. One of the new employees developed into a foreman off of this project. By the end of the project, this new employee didn't know how to caulk, didn't know how to set up a swing stage, didn't know how to move a swing stage, didn't know how to run a job. By working with him on this project, by the end of the job, this person was promoted to a foreman. The final JP on this project was 47%. The job was bid at 32%, so it came in 15% higher than what was budgeted, and the key attribute to this was the increase in productivity. So we started bidding with the new production rates. That was one of the things that was on our circle earlier. And we wanted to be sure we were achieving those rates, maintain them, and then start bidding with them. Since then, we've secured a $260,000 contract bid at 30% JP. And this particular project is called Capital View Center. With the old production rates, Western would not have secured this project. They would have been one of the, I believe they would have been the second highest number on this project, and they actually came in low by, I think, $2,000. So we're very competitive. Currently, we're working on that project. It's about 30% complete. We're meeting all the production goals, on track to meet or exceed the budgeted JP. One more thing I want to identify on this is that the new foreman that we talked about on the slide earlier, that came from the Intel project, is running this job and achieving these just by training that person. Again, this person didn't know how to caulk when we started this training. This person didn't know how to run a job. This person did not know that they needed to be tracking their daily production and how important that was. The future of the productivity program. Increased productivity initiatives. Western will be looking for new opportunities, new branches to work with, where they can come in and do the training, work with the guys, look at their production overall, find better methods, find better tools, and find better ways to increase JP. Focus on productivity tracking. You guys know from working with Viewpoint that you have a lot of different phase codes on a lot of these jobs, and tracking can be somewhat of a nightmare. This is something we're working with and working on the upfront end of these jobs to be sure that they're set up correctly to begin with. That makes it easier for you guys to focus on the tracking. The importance of the tracking is to be sure that we can identify if there's areas that a branch might be weak in or might be underperforming in, that we can put our focuses there and get those numbers up, again, so we can secure more projects and increase our profit. We'll continue to look for new tools and methods. There's been a lot of new tools that have been identified and put out in the last couple of years, and these new tools, the monopod, the rack attack, a lot of you guys use the pan machines, the battery operated caulk, all these things are helping increase production and again, overall JP and securing more jobs. That's what it's all about. Also, we're going to be looking at identifying productivity leaders to use as trainers, and also labor support on large jobs. A lot of you guys know that Western likes to share its labor forces. If there's a large project that's being done, and some of these guys are available to work on those projects within the region or without the regions, again, it's more work for your guys. It's job security for those guys to know that if things slow down at the branch, there's opportunities for them to go other places. So we'll be looking for those type of leaders. Final thoughts, implement the information you've learned in the high performance foreman sessions and understand its importance to contributing to production. Most of the things that you guys have worked on in the high performance foreman sessions, they all contribute to production. The organization, having your guys understand what their tasks are, having the jobs laid out, having the right tools there, having everything, again, just about everything you guys talked about is going to come into play and help production. Discuss production daily with your crew. Make them conscious and aware of what is needed and expected. There's a lot of projects you go to, and you ask the guy, hey, what are you doing? And he says, oh, I'm caulking, or I'm tearing out this joint, and I say, well, how much do you get done a day, or where are you supposed to be at the end of the day? A lot of these guys don't know that. If you keep those guys in tune with where they need to be, set those goals for them. And a lot of competitiveness is kind of in everybody's nature. It's just getting them to utilize that, getting them to know that, hey, we want to be here at the end of the day. This is your goal. Set those goals out there. Nobody wants to fail. Track as accurately as possible and identify areas of production is not being met. Again, this goes back to what we were talking about with the phase codes and being sure that everything gets put in the right areas. Otherwise, you got all these red flags that come up on the reports, and those are the reports that we look at day in and day out. And if we look at something and we see all these red flags, we think you guys aren't succeeding, when actually you guys may be succeeding, but just have your productivity in the wrong areas or not labeled at all. Address production issues early to minimize the losses. This is kind of the beauty of Viewpoint, and this is why it was so important to the company, so we can identify these issues early. So if you use your production numbers and use those tracking sheets, and you're tracking correctly, you can see your insufficiencies and where you're not meeting production, and then come up with a plan to fix that, again, to minimize your losses. This one here, it comes up from time to time. Listen to your men. Sometimes they believe they know a better way of doing things, and it's good to look at. It's good to make them part of the solution, but we just want to be sure we don't jeopardize quality. Thank you guys very much, and congratulations on finishing the high performance foreman sessions. Any questions you guys may have about production or productivity, you can call me or email me. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. And again, thank you for attending, and appreciate everything.